welcome back to the Sips and Strokes YouTube channel. My name is Sarah. I am going to walk you through how to paint this sophisticated lady today. Before we get started, go ahead and hit subscribe if you haven't already, but let's go ahead and just jump right into it. So the first thing we are going to do is we're going to put down a base coat for our skin tone. Think of this as a primer. It is going to be streaky, it is going to be patchy, it is not going to be the skin tone that you want at the end. Think of it just as a primer. This way that later on, when we repaint it, it's going to look nice and flawless. She is going to look smooth, and you'll be able to customize your skin tone. So let's go ahead and mix that color up. I'm going to take out my biggest brush, dry it off on my paint rag. Try to use an old rag or a paper towel that just not one of your good rags, because it won't come off if you try to wash it. I'm going to use my big brush as my mixing tool. I'm going to take one big scoop of white, add it to the plate, a big scoop of the honey mustard yellow color, add that to the white, and a big scoop of brown. So again, big scoop of white, big scoop of honey mustard, and a big scoop of brown, kind of folded on top of itself like you're kneading pizza dough. And again, you'll be able to change up your skin tone later on. This is just a primer. I have my big brush, and I'm just going to start with her neck first. Her neck and her chest. Oh, and by the way, you guys, I outlined my sketch in Sharpie. You guys do not need to do that. I mostly did it for the video, just so you guys can kind of see it a little bit clearer. But you do not have to outline yours in Sharpie. That is just for the purpose of the video. So I'm just going through and I'm just painting it. You can see here on mine how streaky and patchy that is. Like I said, we are going to fix that up later. So don't go back and try to layer paint on top of it. I'm trying to correct it. You can see I went outside the lines in some places. It is all good. You are going to be able to fix anything that you mess up later on. So this kind of paint dries very quickly. So if you mess up on something, let it dry and just know you're going to be able to fix it later. But again, I'm going to paint her face. You can always switch to a smaller brush in any smaller areas if you need to. Painting her face. I'm going around her lips. Don't worry if you accidentally paint them. So again, you can see how streaky and patchy that is. Don't worry about it. We're going to come back and fix it. I'm just going to smooth out any larger chunks of paint that I might have on here. Make sure I got it all. And I'll come back later on and I will touch that up. You see how that paint comes to the side? I'm going to paint my sides so that when you guys hang it up at home, it looks nice and finished and complete. So make sure wherever your paint comes to the edge, you want to wrap it around the sides. So on the original painting, the side here is white. I'd like to go ahead and paint it white again. Now, it might feel silly to paint something white that's already white, but at the end, you want it to all have the same luster and shine. That's going to happen more than once for me to knock this off. But at the end, so I'm going to go ahead and paint it white. I have my big brush, and I've cleaned it off. I've given it a good rinse around the bottom of my cup. I'm going to pick up white paint, and I'm just going to start painting it white. Now, if you want to, first of all, you can paint it any color that you want, but you can always dip your brush, like the wooden handle of your brush, into a little bit of black. Put a really small amount of black down. Flip your brush back over to the bristles, and then just streak that black around. That kind of gives you a little bit of extra color there. So it's just not a flat shade of white if you so choose to do that. Again, I just do a little dot of black, and then I just streak it around. I just blur it out. One little dot will do a lot. See how that rhymed? One dot does a lot. I'm going to come up here above the hat, and I'm going to paint that as well. I'm just blending that out. Wrap that around the sides. Since it's white, you don't need to, but just to keep the habit going. So up to this point, I am going to let my canvas dry. I'm going to let that first coat of skin tone dry completely, and then we're gonna come back. So in the meantime, go rinse your brushes, get some fresh water, and take a quick break, maybe go eat a snack or something, but pause the video and we're gonna come back in about 10 minutes once everything has totally dried, and we'll do a second coat of skin. So go ahead and pause this video. Okay, so now that we're back, we are going to go ahead and paint our second coat of skin. So this is a coat where you're going to be able to customize your skin tone, and you'll be able to fix any of the streakiness and the patchiness. So go ahead and mix that up. Use the chart that is on the back of your instructions. So you'll be able to mix that up. Use your big brush. Use your big brush to mix that up. Use your big brush to mix up your skin tone. I'm going to go with the medium skin tone, so I'm going to take, I think it's 2 scoops of white, 2 scoops of brown, and 1 scoop of honey mustard. If you want it a little bit lighter, add more white. If you want it darker, add more brown. That honey mustard is a really good color to add some warmth back into your skin tone, because otherwise if it's just brown and white, it's kind of almost peachy. It's almost a little too red, so it'll kind of golden it up. So once you have that color mixed up, again, start with the neck and the chest, and then do the face last. But you want to just do a nice light dusting of this color on top. If it still happens to be streaky, do a third coat. Just let it dry and do a third coat on top. So long, soft brush strokes. A nice dusting on top of this first coat. And then you do your face last. Do that face last. Okay. So that looks nice and smooth, apart from my edges around the sides. I know that I'm going to fix those later on, so I'm not worried about that. But I'm going ahead and I'm just going to rinse my brush off. And I'm going to go ahead and start painting my hat as well as her shoulders and her jacket. So on the original it's black, so I'm just going to come in with my big brush in a solid coat of black. Just be super careful. Do long, smooth brush strokes, a nice solid coat of black. When it comes to black paint against a white canvas, since it's such a high contrast with those two colors, what's going to happen is as it dries, you may start to see the pores of the canvas start poking through, because when paint dries, it shrinks. Just if that happens, just touch it up as you go. Just make sure you're using enough paint. So use as much as you need to, so it's nice and thick, or not too thick, but a nice solid coat of black. So I'm fixing up that edge there. Long, smooth brush strokes, getting your edges wherever that black comes to the side. Again, post it to those sides, because we really love to see them on our social media, to see what you guys are doing at home. Because honestly, we miss you, and we miss classes, and we miss people, so being able to see what you guys do at home has really brought that feeling back to us of feeling close with our customers. So make sure that you take a picture and post it. But again, I'm just filling in this with a solid coat of black. And you want to make sure that you come down here and you paint this jacket, this section here. So I'm going to lift that up so I can get all the way around there. So from here, I am actually going to take another dry break, just because I put a lot of paint on the canvas and I want to make sure that I keep things clean, because later I'm going to come in and paint this stripe here, I'm going to paint her lips, and I'm going to paint the collars. So I'm going to let things dry before I move on to the next step. So again, just go rinse your brushes, get some fresh water, and then I'm going to show you how to do your glitter. So we'll go ahead and just start that. Go ahead and rinse your brushes and get some fresh water. Okay, so now that we're back, we are going to go ahead and paint the stripe on the hat, the lips, and the collar. The original is red and they have glitter on it. So I'm going to first paint it with a solid coat of red. It's going to be thin and streaky, but don't worry about it because when you put glitter on top of it, it's going to conceal it. But I'm first going to paint it red. I'm going to let that coat dry, and then I'm going to come back later on and I'll show you how to do your glitter. So you're not doing glitter just yet. You're just painting a first coat of red. Okay, so now that we're back, we are going to go ahead and paint the stripe, the lips, and the collar. We're going to paint them red, so we're not going to do our glitter just yet. We're going to do that later on, but for right now, we're just going to paint it a solid coat of red, and I'll show you how to do your glitter later on. But for right now, we're just going to paint it red. And it's okay if it's a little bit streaky because when you do your glitter, it's going to cover up any of those imperfections anyway. So I'm going to come over here. I still have my medium brush, and I'm just going to paint collar. Got into her face a little bit. That's totally fine. I'll fix that later. Paint the other side. Remember where I messed up? I'm just going to carve it right off. Boop. Easy. Like it never happened. So I'm going to switch to my smaller brush to fill in the lips. I'm still using red paint. Ooh, she's pretty. Okay, so I'm going to let that dry for a little bit, and I'm going to go ahead and do my outlining and her necklace. So I just still have my little small brush, and I'm going to pick up black paint. Really the only outlining that you need to do is mostly her neckline and the collar on the right side. So I'm just going to outline her face. Take your time. I'm going to actually rotate her so I can get a nice application on there. So that's nice and smooth. Okay, I'm going to outline her neck. So it might be easier for you guys just to let things dry completely before you do your outlining, because depending on where you'd like to set your hand to steady it, might be easier. And I'm going to outline the top part of this collar and her neck down here as well. Okay. I'm also going to take this moment to add in her jewelry. So she's got an earring, and I just have my finger and I dip it into white paint. She's got an earring on this side and on this side, and I just do little swirls with my finger. And she's got pearls. So you can do any kind of necklace that you want, but you want to draw her pearls on there to help it kind of look even. And a lot of times what happens, it happens with me quite a bit, is the necklace will look crooked. So take a look at the center of your painting, and you're just going to draw a line, and you're going to follow that line for when you do your circles. So I'm just going to draw a line. That looks pretty good to me. And again, now I have my finger with white paint, and I'm just going to do little dots. You want to make sure that you have enough paint on your finger. If you have too little paint, your dots are going to come out kind of fuzzy around the edges. So just make sure that you have a generous amount of white on your finger to do your dots. And I'm just following along with that line. Okay, go back over that one a little bit. There we go. Pretty, right? Now is the time where I'm going to show you how to do your glitter. Glitter is going to stick to anything and everything that is wet. So you want to make sure that your entire canvas is totally dry before you move on. So I've already done the stripes so you guys can see how it's going to turn out. But you're also going to do your collar and your lips. I've made sure that the jewelry and everything is totally dry before I've come in to do this. So what you're going to do is you're going to make sure that you have your paint and your glitter handy. You want to have a surface area that you can dump your glitter onto. You don't want to dump it into like your trash can or anything. You want to dump it onto a surface. That way you can reuse the glitter that is dumped off onto your canvas. So that way you have plenty of glitter. So what I'm going to start with, I have my medium brush. I'm going to start with the two collars. And you want to kind of do this quickly so that it doesn't dry on you, because if it dries on you, your glitter is going to come out patchy. So I'm going to do one section at a time. I'll start with my red. And I'm going to just go ahead and start painting my section. And I don't want to, move too slowly. Like I said, it's going to dry on me if I go too slow. I'm going to make sure that this entire section is fully saturated. Right? Got my glitter. I'm going to do a light sprinkle. A lot of times people think they need to totally dump it on top. You don't really need to. Just want to get as much as you can, cover the surface, because when you come around the back, if you tap it around, that's going to move the glitter into all those little nooks and crannies, and then you're going to dump it onto the table. See? So that white was a little bit wet, so that's stuck there. So do as I say and not as I do, and make sure that everything is totally dry before you move on. So I'm going to do the next one. Paint the other collar. Make sure that it is completely covered. Right, come back, do a light sprinkle on top, as much of it as I can. Kind of give it a little shake to get in all those little spots, and dump it onto the table, like that. I'm going to switch to a smaller brush for my lips. Still using my red paint. Paint the lips. I'm almost using this small brush as like a pencil. I have it gripped real low. That way I have a little bit more control for my lips. If you hold it up real high, you have a little less control. So if you kind of hold it like a pencil, just make sure you're checking where you're resting your hand so you don't smudge anything. So I've repainted my lips. Come in, do a light sprinkle. Give it a little tap from the back, and then dump it onto the table. So that is how you do your glitter. And I'm going to just do one more thing. I'm going to touch up some of these spots here, and I'm also going to do a little bit of highlighting. So I've got my small brush again. Make sure that you give it a really good rinse around the bottom of your cup. I'm going to pick up white paint, and I'm just going to do some quick haphazard highlighting just to give a little bit of depth to our black here and on our hat. And quick is what is important here. If you go real slow, it's going to look kind of awkward. So I just have my brush and I just do like a little swoop. You don't want to overthink it. Just do a swoop. Maybe a little bit here on the collar, on this side, like that. You don't touch up anything that you may need to. So like I'm coming back here, touching up some spots. But that is it, you guys. When you are finished, just give your brushes a good rinse. If you've had fun, make sure that you subscribe and you like our video. Feel free to post these on our social medias. We'll have those linked below. But thank you guys again for watching, and tune back next time for any other further paint kits.